How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be talking about Tales from the Crypt Season 2. Season 2, much like Season 1, is an anthology horror show based on the EC comics of the same name, but of course, also adapting stories from other EC comics like Vault of Horror or Shock Suspense stories. And of course, all the episodes are hosted by the Crypt Keeper, voiced by John Kassir, but this time with a slightly better puppet, so hey, that's fun. But the biggest difference between this season and Season 1 is this is actually 3 times longer. Season 1 was only 6 episodes. Season 2 is 18, so we get more episodes, and I'm pleased to announce relatively stable quality, which is always great. Richard Donner and Tom Holland from the first season again direct an episode apiece, which is great to see. We also get Fred Dekker, who did Night of the Creeps and Monster Squad, doing an episode, and it's great to see that because Fred Dekker actually hasn't directed too much after those 2 movies. He would direct RoboCop 3 and then unfortunately not really direct much after that, so good to get Dekker in here. But overall, really great season, continuing where the first left off. More good vignette stories. I don't have too much negative to say, although if I did have to say something negative is we're starting to see in this season some of the tropes for this show. You know, the formula start to appear and you start to see it a little bit, you know, and in turn some of the episodes can be a little predictable. But these tropes have not overstayed their welcome yet, and even when they're there, the show is pretty good. I mean, take Fred Dekker's episode, for example, The Thing from the Grave. In that episode, a man kills another man over a woman, and then we flash back in time to see why, and we see that the other man was being kind of abusive, so the good guy who got killed earlier tried to take the woman away and help her out, and in the process he gives her a necklace, and the necklace, he says, has a legend placed upon it that if you give it to someone with a promise that you have to keep that promise, and he promises that he will keep protecting her. So if you look at these plot elements and you know Tales from the Crypt, you can kind of tell where this episode's going. But that being said, the directing and the acting, it still makes this really entertaining even if you do see the trope. So it's really not that big of a deal, or at least not yet, and I'm hoping it won't be in the future. But yeah, that's like the one little complaint. Overall, this is a really good season, and I have several notable things here. So we're going to do the notable things really quick. One is Arnold Schwarzenegger directed an episode. The episode is The Switch. It's about a man who's really old and he's getting underground surgery to replace his body parts so he's younger and can be with the woman he loves. You also get Arnold Schwarzenegger with the Crypt Keeper in the hosting segment, so that was really fun to see. You also get a cameo from the band Iggy Pop during the episode, for crying out loud, about a manager for the venue who is telling people that all the money is going to go to Africa, but he plans on stealing it, but he gets a consciousness talking in his ear, telling him to be a better person, and he's fighting with that. It's a really fun episode. You also get Corman's Calamity. It's about the Tales from the Crypt comic book artist, and he's taking a new experimental medication that has the strange side effects of the monsters he's drawing coming to life in real life. So it's kind of a fun episode to see the Tales from the Crypt comic books not only being referenced, but to have kind of this, it's almost like the Goosebumps movie where they're coming out of the books and into real life. And overall, a really fun episode. And one more noteworthy episode is Lower Berth, about a mutant who is at the circus, kept there kind of in a cage, and he falls in love with a female mummy. Now, there's a pretty cool twist at the end of this episode that unfortunately every single description of it decides to spoil, including that on the DVD. So don't read the descriptions, just watch this episode because I think the twist is pretty fun and it's better not to know it going in. Okay, so those are the big highlights. Now I'm going to cover my top 3 episodes this season. And 1 and 2 are pretty easy. The third one, which is more my personal pick, was kind of harder to pick out. I almost went with My Brother's Keeper, which is about conjoined twins and they're fighting with each other and deciding if they could get a risky surgery to separate themselves. It's a really funny episode, but I think it was just barely beaten out by the episode Television Terror. Television Terror is about this guy. He's doing a live broadcast where he's going to go into a haunted house and see if he can find ghosts. You do get some elements from inside the camera, so this is a really early kind of found footage thing, even though about 2/3 of the episode is outside the camera. But it's a fun haunted house one. You gotta love haunted houses. And there's a twist at the end of this one, and I won't spoil it obviously, but I will say the twist is not about the plot, it's about something in the characters' mindsets, and it's really a much more interesting twist than just a standard plot twist, and I found that really fun. But anyway, the 2 that are the obvious standouts for this season, the ventriloquist dummy. In this episode, there's this guy, he's been inspired to get into ventriloquism, and he has his first show, and he goes and he gets his hero, this famous ventriloquist, to come and see his show. Now, his hero has been on a bit of bad luck. Right after the show that this new ventriloquist saw as a kid, he was with a lady, and he was in his little cabin, and the cabin burned down, and that left his ventriloquist hand all burnt up and wrapped up, and he can't be a ventriloquist anymore. However, later on in the episode, when the events of the fire are called into question, he mysteriously blames his ventriloquist dummy. And yes, this is a fun episode. And again, that's all I'm gonna say. You have to go in and watch the episode. That's really fun. But my personal favorite has to be the episode Cutting Cards. In this, 2 rival gamblers meet in this casino. It's kind of a small, out-of-the-way place, and they hate each other, and they challenge each other into bigger and bigger bets until things go well off the rails. There's a really fun scene there where they're betting by playing Russian roulette. It's a very cool, intense scene, and it is great to see this episode where the stakes keep getting higher and higher, and you're like, oh man, and you see these 2 characters just wanting to go at each other. A great rivalry there. But anyway, so I think that pretty much covers Season 2. Lots of great episodes, and if you remember, in my review for Season 1, I mentioned I was really lucky to pick these things up. I got the first 2 seasons before the big lockdown, and I'm very happy to say that the area I live in is doing pretty good, and we, with caution, are starting to go out a little bit more, and stores are being very responsible in running it, and I'm doing very good where I am, and I hope you are as well. But my area has opened up a lot of places, and I was able to get Season 3, so I hope to have that up again soon, and I'm glad that we seem to be putting most of this behind us. But anyway, I'll get back to you guys with Season 3 soon. Thank you for everyone who's liked and subscribed. And hey, the world's looking, you know, at least on the pandemic front, a little better, and I hope the other fronts start to look better soon too. I want to keep the scariness in the TV shows, and I hope it is going that way. Anyway, to everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping this channel out. I'll see you guys again very soon with more horror. Anyway, have a good day.